We are now independent, free from subjugation, but that is valid externally only. When will it be effective in our internal self also?
The sense will come only after the external relations are closed. If you want to feel the sense of liberation in your inner self, you must gain liberty, both externally and internally. Freedom that has been achieved by us is valid in the external situations only. Internal freedom or liberty has not yet been achieved. The worth of independence today is confined to stereotyped acts of demonstrative value only, just as raising the flag, or a pole, or raising a voice here, there and everywhere, or joining in with the national anthem. Awareness dawns on us momentarily only that we have gained independence. Meetings galore in all corners, small gatherings, but big talks and long speeches continue. As the day ends, the curtain comes down on all the festivities. We forget the significance of our gaining independence. India has now gained freedom. That is a fact. But we the people as such, what have we got? Sorrow and suffering, painful problems and deprivations. That's all. For us Indian citizens, nothing else. Had we gained real independence, both internal and external, to ourselves, there would have been no disharmony or quarrel or dispute among the people. Equality would have prevailed among all sections. No difference between men of position and the common man. A sweeper and a minister, both would have enjoyed equal prestige and benefits. When people will be able to accept such equality earnestly and be free of prejudice, then only true significance of independence will be clear to them. Otherwise, it will not be of any significance as long as freedom is limited to external situations only. This is the clear message of the Vedas. Gain control of your inner self. Get yourself free from all bondage, so that you can become truly independent and a hero. Such persons alone are able to motivate and energize others towards freedom and heroism. But such accomplished personalities are now rare. That's why we can't appreciate the true spirit of freedom in our heart of hearts, even though we have gained it formally and objectively. When we look at nature, we can observe the true significance of liberty that is inherent in all the phenomena, the stars and the planets, in the vast open sky, all objects living or inanimate, atoms and molecules. All are moving and proceeding towards their destination freely and without any hindrance, no indiscipline and lawlessness. Everywhere peace and harmony prevails. In the living world too, we find all created beings are moving about in full freedom, and there is no dearth of essential materials for their sustenance. Light, air, water, etc. are being provided freely and proportionately by nature. There is no dispute or quarrel or violence among the users over their share. No fragmentation and maldistribution of natural elements like sunshine and the firmament. Can we introduce a rationing system just as food rations controlled by human hands? Endless misery would then have befallen us. The rationing system is an instance before us. Problems are multiplying. Looking at the situation of food supply, problems are multiplying, and there are no signs of solution. The system has been created by our own men. It is full of loopholes and deception. But nature's system is unblemished. It provides equality of right over all facilities to all in the entire universe. No feud or dispute could create any bar on the free access to water, light, air and wind all over the broad sky. Nature's gifts have never been polluted by communal acrimony. The free flow of all these services could not be halted in the past, nor this can be checked ever in the future. The reason is that they are activated by our own motion and strength. So it can be said that all that emerge from the earth feel exalted, staying at the place of their origin. They relish the taste of freedom, and at the same time they try to appreciate the relevance of freedom in their regular life. Unfortunately today, we are devoid of that noble spirit endowed to us by nature, and that is why we are unable to reap the benefit of freedom, nor can we realize its worth. The perspective of all around us today is polluted by adulteration, vanity, and falsehood. Our passage is dangerously slippery because of communal disharmony. We are deprived of the benefits of real freedom. Proper enlightenment has not yet flourished in our people, internally as well as externally. It may flicker for a while, just as in an earthen lamp, and then vanish. Independence that we have gained has been of a very limited impact in patches only, but has not been pervasive. So we can't admit it is proper independence. Again, we feel shy of admitting in our heart of hearts that the present status of independence is lacking in validity. Such open admission may create trouble for them, so they feel apprehensive.
Now, what should be our solemn duty? In reality, we are accustomed to our physical needs, so we behave accordingly. For the future, our goal is full integration. But how should we proceed?
In our present setup, what is the driving spirit that initiates our action program? At the root of all our contemplation, it is a thematic grasp that gives the lead. Thus the solution emerges from the depth of our thoughts and lead ideas. As the time becomes ripe enough, we try to apply all such conclusive ideas in our action. Even then, the thought process inside us continues to elaborate and enrich the ideas to suit our sensual and instant needs. The adjustment process is conditional to one's intellect and IQ. First, the object of our need, the search for the same, should reach our hands. And second, in due course one is led to a higher stage of sensibility. In this way, one's mindset determines one's objects of actual need. Then comes the turn of discernment, the extent of acceptance and that of rejection, just as the process of tasting good and bad food by the tongue. A drowning man will not think for a moment about his dress and style. His sole concern will be his own survival. He will entreat God and Allah for rescue, although he never has had any sight of the divine selves. This comes from our intuitional faith in the Super Savior. It's just like futile attempt for the cherished object in the void. This is nonetheless significant in the sense that the entire living world emerged from the same very source, the void. At the root of all this, there is certainly a super-ego, and it cannot be gainsaid that any earnest prayer to that unknown ego will yield the desired result. If we judge the functional process of the earthly creation, it is observed that essential inputs required for sustainability of the creation has been duly set or are yet to be set for the sake of protection and progress of the created existence. This super-awareness generates the real objectives of benefit for us. Language, words, and usages may differ from man to man. Yet, we must go forward for success and security. The concept of an integrated universal relation is nourished by such kind of faith and mental aptitude. Finally, the process helps to develop our natural disposition, which determines the finale of whatever might have emerged. Born out of zero, gone back to the same origin. So the functional pattern continues. The vacuum is there, of course, but fulfillment follows in the natural process.
You often say that guideline messages and instructions are always emanating from nature herself about the commendable conduct and style of action to ensure harmony and discipline in all spheres of life. Now, would you kindly clarify as to the exact way of nature's messages and instructions for us all, as well as how to gauge and appreciate those indications?
You have to follow the example of the sages and seers of ancient times. The message lies there in the open wide sky, scripted by nature herself in her own language. You are to decipher that. Those who are already initiated to those scriptural indications of nature's phenomenon will face no difficulty in tracing nature's signal and her silent language. Wise intellectuals of the Vedic age used to adopt such a method to decipher nature's message. They could appreciate the interlinkage between all the objects in the living world for satisfying own needs, and such a relationship of mutuality used to sustain them. A bond of affectionate feeling used to operate through the diverse aspects of nature, like sky, water, wind, the forestry of the earth, and the like. This relationship was their lingua franca, and the message of the nature used to be clear. A bond of affectionate love and freedom also prevailed in those old days among all. No dispute, jealousy, or hatred. This relationship helped to grasp the meaning of their diverse vocabulary. If you observe, you can see even today we easily interact and understand the movement and intention of all the pet animals, birds, and such other creatures. That is our heritage. It is possible for the saints and seers of the ancient age to comprehend through the unity and integrity of all that existed in the universe in spite of varied individual features and forms. The significance of endless variation of color and features, differences in melody and sound, and individual mindset was also very clear to them. This apparent diversity in form and functions in nature's creation was appreciated by them as nature's alphabetic order. These differences were helpful in their deciphering process. The textbook lessons are today divided into different chapters. Likewise, we have to accept and treat all varieties in nature's creation as topics of lesson from the Vedas. All thematic data and information are obtainable from the diverse forms and features of nature. As such, the Vedic classics were never issues of imagination, nor were they unreal. These are entirely based in nature, supported by science and reason, and thus realistic too. The sagacious scholars of ancient times were analytic in their scholarly approach. They used to observe the extent of influence exerted by nature and the assorted creative objects on the people, and after thorough investigation attained expertise in different branches of knowledge. This process continued for thousands of years by observation and research upon the activities and behavioral pattern of the species like animals, insects, birds, flora and fauna. They traced the benign traits of the hemisphere and then stored all those in security. The utility scope of each of those elements were also duly analyzed and put into use. For instance, you can observe birds collect and apply particular species of fauna to cure particular types of ailments. This was then regarded by them as communication from nature. From very careful study of these herbal objects of nature used by birds for curing ailments, the researchers were able to discover the medicinal worth after utilizing the materials in their own cases. So they came to the conclusion that all these were stored in the sky in abundance. Indications flow out from the nature which way and how to proceed. The signals came through the movement of endless creatures of nature, pests and insects, birds and animals, flora and fauna, and the like. They were continuously signaling, this is the way to proceed on, as if these elements used to work as the fingers of nature, giving instructive messages. Such processes of communication can be described as the Vedas. In this way, the Vedas were contently calling upon people to precisely understand all the objects of nature lying before you and then decide. This is a process of conscientization, providing facility to grasp the truth. The basic theme of the Vedas and that of our life both are intrinsically correlated. It is therefore necessary to take recourse to the Vedas for the progress of mankind and human society. For the sake of a total universal society, the vast region of the sky must be the resort. The seed is with us. Our task is to sow it into the soil. There is no dearth of benevolent ideas and materials in the Vedas, in the entire system of nature. You search and you will find whatever you need. Unfortunately, people deviated from that right course of action, and as a result today, there are plenty of problems of health, social problems like falsehood and cheating, deceit and fraud, want and poverty, grief and sorrow, which could have been avoided. These troubles would have been only dictionary words. You would have needed help to ascertain the true meaning of those terms, as you are asking me to explain the Vedas. If you ponder a while and try to comprehend the principles underlying the course of nature, you will then find all the requisite functional elements required for the formation of an ideal society are lying inherent therein, like say, rules and principles, discipline, cooperation, and the like. Material objects are bound together by interrelation. You are required to follow the same pattern and proceed step by step, stage by stage. Then it will be possible to find out the solution of all problems. Persons who were then versed in the Vedas adopted this practice and applied the same in the social milieu. Social unrest was therefore rare in those days. The society was full to the brim. Guardians of social life used to turn to the mysteries of nature to bring out invaluable wonders for the enrichment of life. Even now, the guidance, works and signals are pouring in from the aerospace as before, which can be utilized for the solution of our knotty problems. You should try to take on and assimilate the beckonings. Make the best use of the Vedic messages, your capital, and go ahead on the track of knowledge which is captivating with joy, wherefrom you will be able to gain strength for reshaping of the society. Therein lies the essence of all arts, architecture, music, literature, science, and all other values of life. Look at a tree, and you feel the charm of poetry blossoming through, so that you can feel poetical rhythms inside your own self. Similarly, the birds, the rats, the hares, the ants are wonder artisans of masonry, from whom you can acquire some lead to help you in technological skill. In this way, you can learn a lot in such skills as tunneling, communication, transport of grains, etc., carried out underground with incredible skill and tenacity. All these are before us to see and to learn from. Let us unearth these mechanisms and use the skill for our own benefit. Our Vedic ancestors did the same. That's why there was no want or social problems at that time. Those very principles should be followed in obedience to nature. That is my dream today.